Hey there and welcome back to another Dragon Prince video. And so, here we are. At long last, after years of near radio silence, only broken up by the occasional blog post or tweet every couple of months to remind people that they're still making the show and that we'll release someday, a little while back we finally got word that we were going to get a look at the upcoming season through a brand new teaser trailer. And I won't lie, from what I could see, this got the fandom really hyped. It had been so long since they'd had some fresh content to analyse and sink their teeth into, and so when this was announced, there were posts and discussions and comments galore. It was being talked about everywhere. The hype was being built up to a fairly big degree, and it didn't help that even the creators were getting in on this, talking about how it was going to be so exciting to watch, how it was going to be big. And then we saw the release of the teaser, titled The Mystery of Aaravos, which was a blog post accompanied by a YouTube teaser trailer. And so, before I give any thoughts on what happened or what I think, I'll just outline what was in the trailer. So the text portion of the post read as follows. Many questions remain after the Battle of the Stormspire, but only one continues to haunt the very heart of Xadia. Who is Aaravos? After more than a millennium of careful planning, moving and manipulating generations of humans and elves like pieces on some cosmic chessboard, the machinations of the Midnight Star known as Aaravos are finally coming to bear. But where did this enigmatic Star-Touch elf come from? What does he want? And what price will our heroes have to pay to stop him? Unveil these mysteries and more in Season 4, coming to Netflix in 2022. And then after that, there was a bit of an advertisement for their upcoming panel at San Diego Comic-Con in July, where they're obviously going to be breaking things down in more depth as to the direction of Season 4, and we'll be showing off a sneak peek of an actual episode. But this brings us to the actual video, which you can go and watch if you haven't seen it. It's on YouTube on the Netflix After School channel, and it only goes for 59 seconds, so it's not a massive time sink. But anyway, it shows Viren looking up at the stars and turning to stone, and he begins to cry, before being picked up by a giant Aaravos who smiles at him. Yeah, that is the entire teaser. I know, right? Not really much to go off. And honestly, that is the reception I've seen for the most part on social media. On one hand, people are hyped simply because it's some fresh content after years, but on the other hand, it showed next to nothing. It was a bit of a disappointment. No plot, no excitement, nothing that can really justify the hype the creators put behind this. So why were they so excited for us to see this of all things? Because yeah, it was really a whole lot of nothing. It was pretty much a trailer for their Comic-Con panel. Want to know more? Well, wait another month. But that being said, we can probably try to still get some sort of information from this thing. Both the actual text post and from the video. So I guess there's nothing else for it but to strap on my tinfoil hat and to start to craft some outlandish theories based on flimsy evidence from this 59-second teaser. Now, the first big takeaway from this is found within the blog post. Season 4 is still slated for release during 2022. Now, I've had my doubts in the past that this was actually a realistic release window, considering we'd essentially received radio silence for years and had not seen a hint of a finished product. But if we've gotten to the halfway point of the year and they're still firmly in the 2022 camp, then at this stage of the game, I guess there's really no choice but to take them at their word. I mean, I guess a delay after this point wouldn't be too hard to believe, but I feel like Comic-Con's simply going to reinforce that 2022 release window with an actual hard date. And then after that, there's likely not going to be a delay, because if so, that would probably be more embarrassing than anything else. Only a fool would commit to a date on such a big stage if they weren't sure they could pull it off in time. But honestly, that's probably the only key thing of note to take away from the blog post itself. Well, aside from the fact there's going to be a sneak preview of an episode of Comic-Con, but it's probably going to be a minute or two and not all that plot relevant. Because these kind of sneak previews never are. Imagine spoiling a key plot point at Comic-Con of all places. You'd never live that down. So really, that leaves us with the trailer. And honestly, simply based on how it plays out, the whole thing feels more metaphorical than anything else. There isn't any big plot points or reveals or dialogue or discussion, but it's more just setting up Aaravos' character and how he's going to factor into the story going forward. Obviously, as I said, there's no real specifics to draw off of, but I guess that's why we're wearing our tinfoil hats, so we can unleash some wild speculation with no evidence. And then on top of that, we can all act like this is 100% factual, and I'm right, and my theories are completely groundbreaking. So with all that being said, let's jump into it. So we start off the teaser with Aaravos opening a scroll with a bunch of different images imposed over a night sky. And I'm guessing these are supposed to be constellations. But honestly, it'll take a smarter or more dedicated person than me to determine whether they could have any sort of story relevance. I'm not about to sit here pondering the stars right now. Anyway though, we then zoom through the cosmos to arrive at Viren of all people. staring up at the sky and reaching out for the stars. So this feels to me like it's referencing Viren's increasing dependence on Aaravos throughout the show. The dude is a Star Touch elf, hence reaching for the stars. And Viren used his insight and his guidance to wage his war on Xadia and take control of the human armies. But as he reaches up for all this power, he begins to turn to stone, dropping a single tear as he does so, much like the Dragon King, Avizandum, when he was killed. So this to me calls to mind some parallels, and I think hints at Viren's future. His future of him being a corpse, because he's going to be dead. And largely because he depends too heavily on Aaravos and is led like a lamb to the slaughter, because he's allowing himself to be turned into a chess piece through his dependence on Aaravos' magic, teachings, and guidance. But I did find it interesting they did a callback to the Dragon King here. When he died, he shed a tear as he knew he'd be no longer around to protect his child. So I'm guessing that might hint at the context of Viren's death too. Either he's going to realise too late that seeking Aaravos' power has endangered his family and dies trying to make things right, or, as he dies, he realises his daughter is a prime candidate for Aaravos to try his manipulations on now, except Viren will no longer be around to try and protect her, hence the tears. Either way, whilst I don't actually think he's going to get turned to stone, I do think he's going to die at some point this season. He's used up most of his narrative potential, and the tagline, Mystery of Aaravos, suggests that the story's going to pivot and make him the new main villain. There really isn't that much room for Viren's character anymore, or much point in having him around, so giving him a meaningful exit and moving on seems like the best choice. We then see Aaravos picking up little stone Viren and looking at him with a happy smile on his face, so obviously this is just a reference to Viren being a chess piece to Aaravos. He doesn't bear him ill will, and he rather enjoys him for what he is, but in the end that's what he is, a toy, a chess piece. And in chess, sometimes you have to sacrifice a piece to win the game. So I think this is showing this is how Aaravos thinks about people. He finds them useful while he has them, but he's not going to think twice about discarding them if it suits his goals. And then we finish off with a title screen for Mysteries of Aaravos. And I'm guessing this is going to be the title of the overall multi-season arc, because wasn't this season meant to be titled Earth or something like that? So yeah, this definitely feels like that pivot to make him the final big bad to be built up properly over the course of the next couple of seasons before that final arc. But yeah, that's the end of the teaser. And like I said, it was short and there wasn't too much to go off, so hopefully I've managed to unravel some of this stuff in an enjoyable way. But that being said, these were just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the trailer? Like it, hate it? Any theories that have been spawned out of this? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.